Welcome back. Does the name Tony Orlando ring a bell? Depends on your age, probably. Some of you will remember his huge hits from the 70s, like this one. Tony Orlando was in town last weekend and he sat down with me, and even if you're too young to know his music, I think you'll find him interesting. In this excerpt, he talks about some of the musicians he worked with very early on when he was just a teenager, and it sounds like the plaques in a room in the Rock Hall of Fame.
Paul Simon would drive Carole King to high school. Paul Simon and Neil Sedaka and myself and the Tokens, Lion Sleeps Tonight, all grew up together, all in the same office. Neil Diamond, Paul Simon, Neil Sedaka, Carole King, Bobby Darin, Connie Francis, and myself, and we were all teenagers then, hoping to make it in this business in 1961. Then, of course, we all had our hits, but in 63 and 64, the British invasion came in and I was out of work. It was over. So I went to work for Clive Davis, ran the music division for him. I was 23, earned my way up to vice president at Columbia Records. I signed Barry Manilow, produced his first records, had Yardbirds, Blood, Sweat and Tears, a great Canadian group that I represented in those days. James Taylor, the same. So it was a great experience for me to sit behind the desk.
And then you became a star.
And then I backed into it. I recorded Candida as a favor for a friend of mine. Tony Wine, who's still in my band, wrote the song. And I did it as a favor that hopefully he'd be able to pay his rent. The record became #1.
Oh, my Candida, we could make it together. The further from here, girl, the better. Where the air is fresh and clean. Whoa, my Candida.
Then came Knock 3 times, 2 #1 records in a row. I went to Clive and said it's time for me to leave and seek the dream that I had since I'm a kid. Got a television show in '73 with CBS in the States and here in Canada, and the show was a big hit for us, and we had a great run. So it's my 55th year in show business this year. Wow. And I'm still 2 years younger than Paul McCartney, so I'll always be a kid. You're 2 years younger than the Beatle, you're a kid, right?
Oh, my darling, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no.
You were here back in the mid-1970s.
Yeah.
My wife was a teenager at the time. She won tickets to that concert.
Wow.
You told me something about what you did after that concert, which tells you a lot about the difference in pop music then and now. You were big enough to sell out a hockey rink, 16,000, 18,000 fans, but then you made an offer.
It was such a great audience, but Vancouver audiences have always been great. Throughout my whole career, and that's not just backstage talk. You guys are great to people when they perform here. So my first time in Vancouver, I'm with Thelma and Joyce, Dawn. We're sold out. The show went great. So I said to the audience, anybody that wants to sign an autograph, I'll be sitting over at that table right over there. So 8 hours later.
Literally 8 hours?
I'm not lying to you, 8 hours. And Thelma, who you've all seen on Family Matters and Give Me a Break, she went on to a great sitcom career.
And she was one of the backup singers?
She's the sassy one of the group. And she's sitting there and she's signing on, and all I kept hearing was, "You're going to hear about this back at the hotel. I'm going to kill you. Don't you ever do that again. You're going to die when you get home." 8 hours later, we were signing, and our arms were falling off, but it was worth it.
Told you, lots of great stories, and he also has some great advice for musicians who are up and coming today. We're going to have that in the second part of our interview tomorrow as Music Week continues. Remember, just one edition each weeknight of the program during the playoffs. The National is next right here on CBC News Network.